a more focused effort of starting the show at 12:30 each day. It was some good feedback and advice relayed by one of our valued viewers and listeners in an in-person meeting earlier this week. And I love constructive advice, especially when it comes from a good place of just making the product better. And I thought, folks count on us to start, it's the same concept with say, like the TV news or a talk show on the AM dial. Viewers and listeners count on the local news or a talk show on the AM dial to start at the top of the hour, for example. We need to do a better job of starting at a religious time as well. So that's what we're going to focus on for the remainder of August. We're going to have headlines on screen here in a matter of moments. Give the show a like and a share, retweet the show, like the show, spread the gospel about the show. That would mean the world to us, viewers and listeners. I want to talk about this topic that's emerging in San Francisco. Dylan's Rule, thank you on Twitter. We love you, Dylan's Rule. You're a good man. You routinely interact with the program. We appreciate you. Commercial real estate owners in San Francisco. For example, the Westin San Francis Hotel in San Francisco. It's an iconic hotel, one of the most iconic pieces of property in San Francisco. But the owner of this property is, headlines are on screen, guys, look at the screen. The Westin St. Francis Hotel, the owners of this hotel are applying for a more than 90% decrease in assessed value from $787 million all the way down to $76 million. Judah, you should hear this because I want your take on it. Iconic property owners, commercial real estate in San Francisco. San Francisco's just a crap show, right? You got aggressive panhandling and homelessness that makes Charlottesville look tame. Yeah. You got a massive gentrification problem. The haves have a lot, the have-nots have nothing. You have cities or little pockets of tents and homeless everywhere. You have political upheaval and political outcry with local government. And you have businesses sprinting away from San Francisco, like literally leaving the city by the masses. So San Francisco is searching for its identity. As a result, commercial owners are applying for tax assessment relief on their buildings in San Francisco. The Westin St. Francis Hotel, the owners are asking for a 90% decrease in what they pay in taxes, in assessed value. A 90% decrease in assessed value from $787 million to $76 million. Is this a sign of what's to come in Charlottesville? And if commercial owners like me, like Alan Kajin, like Ludwig Kutner, like Bill Nichman, all friends of the program, Joe Geek, a friend of the program, the extorting emperor of empty lots, Johnny Dewberry, not a friend of the program. But if people like this start applying, Joffrey Woodruff, friend of the program, start applying for tax relief, assessment reduction, what is that going to do to our jurisdiction's operating budget and operating capital? And where will that money be made up? I want to talk about that on today's show. I also want to talk about UVA students moving back to grounds today and this weekend. Public and private school starting for Charlottesville area children. I want to talk about the HUD median income of $123,300 per household. So much to cover on the show. Give the show a like and a share. John Blair. Thank you, John Blair. J-Dubs, you want to sing a little jingle to John Blair over there? You got a two-shot ready to go? How about a little jingle or a little love for John Blair over there?
A little jingle? Do I seem like the jingle kind of person?
You can make it anything you want. Just make it your own.
You gotta let me think about something like that.
You don't have. You could just
come up with a jingle
John
on the top
Blair.
Oh, let's see.
John Blair. I think you're overthinking it a little bit.
I am.
Anonymous, Ginny Who, Warrior A.G., Linnell. How about you salute with a croon one of your favorite viewers and listeners?
One of my favorite viewers and listeners.
We're just having fun here, my friend. We're just having fun.
I know. You're just asking me, I'm not as.
All right, we'll rock and roll.
As you are.
Let's start the program. I'm in your hands, Judah Wickower. Anytime you're ready to rock and roll, my friend.
quiet on the set.
Good Friday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller, and this is the I Love Seville Show. Thank you kindly for joining us. A pleasure to connect with you through the I Love Seville Network, where at times we sing songs to our favorite viewers and listeners. We goof around, we have fun, we go about the show with a focus of education, entertainment, and enlightenment. The 3 E's when we are behind this microphone and in front of these cameras. A lot I want to cover today. I'm seeing a trend in San Francisco where I think it's a trend that's going to start matriculating or heading our way. Commercial real estate is losing value. It's losing value in the eyes of banks. It's losing value in the eyes of appraisers. It's losing value in the eyes of owners. It's losing value in the eyes of renters or tenants. If banks, appraisers, owners, and renters and tenants see a value proposition reduction of commercial real estate, will owners of these buildings start applying for assessment reduction in their respective jurisdictions? Me, for example, will I apply for assessment tax reduction with my holding on Market Street? And if this becomes a common element, and I'll unpack it from a San Francisco, California standpoint, if this becomes common in Charlottesville, where is the additional money to run the Charlottesville budget, over $200 million a year to run Charlottesville, going to come from? I'm going to unpack that topic today on the I Love Seville Show. Also on today's program, I want to talk about UVA students moving back to grounds today and this weekend. School is starting in the Charlottesville and Central Virginia area, or has already started, for children, for kids, elementary, middle school, high school, much to the happiness and delight of us parents. I want to talk about the HUD median income of $123,300 per home or household. A lot of people may be surprised by that. According to HUD, the Charlottesville area, the median income for a household is $123,300. That number may shock you. I want to give some love to David in Skooma Boutique Dispensary. We'll weave you in on a 2-shot. You've seen David in Skooma Boutique Dispensary. Is he watching now? David, are you watching? Can you say David's last name for us, Judah?
Trecarici.
Will you sing his last name for the viewers and listeners?
No.
You don't want? David Trecarici, the owner of Skooma Boutique Dispensary. It's locally owned and operated. He will join us on the program. And Judah, you should put this on our production calendar if you could, please. August 25th. Travis Hackworth is watching in Danville. August 25th. And make sure, if you could, send me an invite on that. I'll accept it. That way it's on our interview calendar. Governor Youngkin, right, is making life quite difficult for locally owned businesses in the dispensary game.
Yeah.
David is going to explain how life has become more difficult at Skooma since Youngkin has backtracked on what many thought was going to be a fast track for cannabis, for Delta 8, Delta 9, and for CBD and the products that go along with these businesses, right? Yeah. Very limited right now in what they can sell. So I'm going to feature David, one of the partners of this show, Skooma Boutique Dispensary, a week from today to show you how a small business owner, that he's a military veteran, he grew up in Charlottesville, David. Trecarici. Jason Howard is watching the program on Rio Road as well. We're going to talk about how he's adapting and pivoting his model. Yeah. That'll be a week from today. Jason Howard says this: you mentioned school starting next week. In previous shows, you highlighted the 900 plus Albemarle students not getting bus service and this being an ongoing problem the last 3 years. If it isn't already, when does this become part of the conversation clients have with their realtor in the county? Living a little further out, you might end up having to dedicate 3+ hours of your day to transporting your children to and from school. That's a damn good comment.
Yeah.
You want to unpack that one?
Yeah.
That's a great comment.
I mean, it goes along with the question of when does it become when does the cost become too prohibitive of gas when you're looking for a house, and you know, if you say drive till you qualify and
fly till you qualify.
Yeah, fly till you qualify. But I mean, this is, I think, part of the same conversation, because it's not just, you know, now it's not just going to be gas prices that you have to worry about going up. You know, you get a place in Waynesboro or, you know, somewhere, Crozet, half an hour out, and that doesn't seem too bad until gas prices soar, and now now it's becoming a lot more expensive than you thought it was going to be, and then if you've got kids and they don't get a bus to school, now you've also got to devote an extra hour and a half, however long, to driving the kids.
I say some people maybe longer.
Really? I mean, how far away would you be living and going to a Charlottesville or Albemarle school?
That's a fair point. Also, okay, I'll give you. You're saying
eventually you're going to be in another school district.
That's fair. You're saying hour and a half round trip, morning and afternoon, both ways times. So it would be 4 trips.
Depends. I mean, you might.
I think an hour would be that. I think that's fair.
And it might be, you know, I don't know how people are gonna do it. Maybe they do drive the kids to school and then drive home, but maybe they find something a little more cost effective, like okay, I don't have to be at work until 8:30, 9 o'clock, so maybe I go into town, maybe I drop the kid off, go into town, do my acrobatics or my, you know.
Acrobatics? Are you doing acrobatics these days? Tell us about that.
Only when no one's looking.
Well, that was funny.
But yeah, well, you know, like going to the gym, getting your coffee and your breakfast. I don't know, whatever it is, it would seem a wise decision rather than making a 2-way trip. I mean, you know, there and back every morning and every evening. Maybe you figure out a reason to be closer to there when you have to drop them off or pick them up, so that you're saving 1 or 2 of your trips.
Judah Wickower coming out of the gates, spitting fire. I love when you're like this.
But still, that's we're talking about stopgap measures for something that hopefully will
I don't think it will be.
One year. You don't think the schools are ever going to figure this out?
Okay. We've talked about this. We're going to go to commercial real estate and assessments, tax assessments being challenged by property owners. San Francisco is.
So you're saying they're going to get the city and the county are going to be getting less tax money if Charlottesville businesses start trying to pay less taxes on their business because of the tax.
God, I love when you're like this.
And so they're going to end up trying to solve a problem, and the problem is just going to get worse and worse because they're going to have less money to spend, and they're not going to want to toss half the year's, you know, tax income.
60% plus, 400. I'll put it in perspective for the viewers and listeners. I think Brad Rackle just walked by.
Who?
I think Brad Rickle just walked by, challenging Ann Malik. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Is he related to Don Rickles?
Albemarle County Board of Supervisor candidate challenging Ann Malik in the Whitehall District. It may have been him. If not, it was his. What's the word?
Now you got me messing.
What is it?
Doppelganger.
Doppelganger. Who's your doppelganger?
Do you really want the story? It's not that long, but.
I would love to hear the story. Your stories are long.
No, this one's short. When I moved around a lot, and when I first went to Deering High School, another kid had just left the year prior.
Okay.
He finished up the last year, left. I came in that year.
Okay.
And everybody said I looked exactly like this guy.
What was his name?
His name was Sam Bull.
Sam Bull, okay.
And apparently he was dating a girl at the time named Tara.
Sam Bull and Tara.
Imagine what would have happened if they'd gotten married.
Tara Bull? What's wrong with Tara Bull?
Really?
I don't get it. I'm missing the joke. What's Tara Bull?
Terrible?
Oh, terrible. Terrible. Is that the story? Or is it a joke that's in the story?
Well, it's part of the story. He was my doppelganger. I've never met him. But like for the first year I was at Deering, everybody would constantly say, "You look just like Sam."
Sam Bull. I'm going on Facebook right now. Is it Bull?
I've never met him.
Is it Deering in Maine?
Yeah.
All right, Sam Bull. And how do you spell the high school?
Dering.
Dering High School. So I'm putting in the Facebook search Sam Bull and Deering High School, Dering, and I'm searching for people. Oh my gosh, is this Sam Bull? Is this big Sam? Oh no, this guy's an Asian male. This is not your Doppenheimer? Your Dopenheimer? Your
doppelganger.
Doppelganger?
Doppel.
Can we find Sam Bull? I would love to send a LinkedIn request or a Facebook request to Sam Bull. Sam Bull. Anyway, we're getting off track. JB, I'll get to your comments here. Deep Throat, I'll get to your comments here. I'm going to get to the comments from Travis Hackworth. I'll get to the comments from Jason Howard. Grayson, I'll get to your comments. Stephen Kraling, I'll get to your comments. Vanessa Parco. Vanessa in Earlysville watching the program as well. All right, this is what I'm going to throw to you, okay? And yes, the public school bus driver shortage is going to be tied to my commercial real estate assessment reduction story as well. Let's use Albemarle County as a baseline. Mm-hmm. Albemarle County yearly budget, over $400 million, just over $400 million. See if you can find the budget for Albemarle County in totality. I believe it's just 400 and some million. Let me see if I can find it here. You find that number, it's a little over 400 million. I know for a fact that Albemarle County Public Schools take 257 million of that 400 million plus. I'll say that again. Albemarle County Public Schools take 257 million of that 400 million plus, or roughly 60% of the budget. See if you can find that number for me, J-Dubs. Neil Williamson, if you're watching, let me know what that number is as well, if you could. So here's my point. Roughly 60% of the budget is tied to funding Albemarle County Public Schools. 60%. Yeah. That's why I've always thought that the Board of Supervisors, if it was legally allowed, should just hold that yearly money, that $257 million in an escrow account, and say to the school board and say to the Matthew Haas and his cabinet, if you don't solve this problem, we're just going to put this money into an escrow account until you do. Mm-hmm. And that'll light a fire under their tails to solve this bus driver shortage issue. Still, I regress. My conclusion, my thesis, my argument is that Albemarle County is nowhere near solving this bus driver shortage issue. Why would someone drive a bus when there's a CDL shortage in totality? And if there's a CDL shortage in totality and you're capable of driving a school bus, why wouldn't you just drive a different vehicle where you don't have children in it and you can make $80, $90 an hour instead of the $20 or $21 an hour the school bus drivers have, and you don't have to deal with parents or annoying rugrats. Yeah. You're in the cab by yourself. I think the bus driver shortage may best be solved, and I don't think we're anywhere near this, but I think it may be best solved with autonomous driving buses. We're years away from that. And the question is, would parents feel comfortable in the early stages of autonomous driving buses? Many will not. Right. Hell, I just saw Matthew Gillikin, and I disagree with 99.9% of what Matthew Gillikin puts out on social media. Okay, he was interviewed by CBS 19, and he had a plan of attack. Yeah. One thing I will say about Matthew Gillikin, and if you're watching this program or you hear about this, he has a take, and he backs it up with what is reasoning to him. Yeah. The reasoning he backs his takes up, I disagree with 99.9% of the time. But he's a man of thought and process.
Yeah.
His oldest child is taking CAT,
Yeah.
public transportation,
Right.
to get to middle school. And he has been doing it for the last few years. I talked with my wife and some of the parents and moms in our friend group and asked, would you feel comfortable with your kid driving or riding public transportation to and from schools? And I think every person in our social circle said absolutely not. But I understand that our social circle is not indicative of the parent population in totality.
No
so
doubt.
I'm not saying that our social circle is right or wrong, just the circle that we run in, none of the parents felt comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
He puts a plan of attack of how his oldest is using CAT, public transportation buses, and riding to and from middle school, literally sitting next to adults that are going on the bus.
Yeah.
Right? They figure out a way to solve a problem. It's a two working house. He works at UVA Hospital. His wife works as a elementary school teacher in Charlottesville Public Schools. She's also the head of the Charlottesville Teacher Union, Shannon Gilligan. She's also a person of thought and process and backs up her takes with well-researched thought. Here's my take. Here's where I'm going with this. I don't think the bus driver shortage issue is going to be solved anytime soon, because if you have a CDL, why would you drive children around at $20 an hour when you can drive a truck around, deliver, transport beer at $40, $80, $90 an hour? Okay? I don't see it being solved anytime soon. I think one of the ways Albemarle County, Charlottesville can solve this bus driver shortage is not require CDLs by using smaller buses. The passenger vans, the cargo vans, and having them seat 14, 15 kids. The type of vans you see taking kids to and from sporting events, like a basketball team.
Yeah.
Right? They're smaller. Those don't necessarily require the same type of driver classification that a school bus does, which would then open up a larger driving pool. I think long run, how you solve the Charlottesville and Albemarle County and any jurisdiction bus driver shortage is you consider autonomous buses or self-driving buses.
And wouldn't those smaller like vans be safer anyways? I mean,
well, there's two schools for thought on this. Here's the first school of thought.
I've never seen a seatbelt on any bus that I've ever been on.
They may be safer. Deep Throat put this on my radar. He said Albemarle County and Charlottesville City are spending taxpayer dollars to be green and save the environment and do things the right way with solar and all these green techniques and green strategies. Michael Payne is big on protecting the environment, protecting the city, thinking about all the stuff that goes with it. Then Deep Throat makes this point, and it's a damn good one. Oh, they're all about being green and protecting the environment, yet they want a boatload of parents to drive their kids to and from school because they have a bus driver shortage. Isn't that the antithesis of being green and running the jurisdiction in an environmentally friendly way? I'm sorry, we don't have any drivers for you. Parents, drive your kids to and from school. Everyone drive just one kid in the car, as opposed to solving out a way to drive 35 to 40 kids and cutting a boatload of cars off the roads.
Yeah.
It's oxymoron. It's like parting is such sweet sorrow.
Hundreds of families.
Thousands of families.
Thousands of families adding hours upon hours daily.
Trip there and trip back, 5 days a week, 9-10 months a year.
Yeah.
As opposed to just solving the crisis and really championing your green and environmental initiative. Can we truly say Charlottesville and Albemarle County are green or environmentally friendly if they're telling thousands of families to drive their kids to and from school? Oh, we can be mindful of using solar panels, but we don't care if you drive your 1987 Cutlass V8 that blows exhaust all over the environment and all over our county to and from Stone Robinson Elementary, to and from Western Albemarle High School. Yeah, take your Ford Bronco too, to and from Henley. Who cares? It's just the environment, but you better have some solar panels. You better have some nice water runoff. It's an oxymoron. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Here's my point. Albemarle County's yearly budget somewhere over $400 million. Does someone have an exact number for me? I would love an exact number. If you can give me an exact number. Neil, if you have an exact number. You got an exact number?
I've got
What's the exact number?
Fiscal year 2024 adopted budget for Albemarle County is $554,790,36.
What's the number?
554
Wait, 554
790
790
036.
036 times 0.6. That's a little high. That's a little high. I'd love to get the exact number. Here's my point. 60% of the budget goes to schools, 270. I know that number's right. Okay? Albemarle County and Charlottesville City I think is about to see this phenomenon. I think they're about to see commercial property owners, including potentially yours truly. Alan Kajin, I know this is all over your radar. You're a bi-coastal attorney. You live in San Francisco. Literally, you live in San Francisco, so you're seeing this firsthand. Alan Kajin also is the co-owner of Ix Park. He owns the Rapture building. He owns the Passiflora building. Alan Kajin owns Tonic in the building right behind Tonic, those apartments. Alan Kajin owns the parking lot where Wild Wing Cafe is. Alan Kajin owns where Public Fish and Oyster is. He owns the retail Shenanigans. Alan Kajin is one of your largest commercial owners in Charlottesville City, and he doesn't even live in Charlottesville full time. Alan is seeing what's happening in San Francisco as commercial owners, and I'm going to put this in perspective for you. The owners of the Westin St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco are applying for a more than 90% decrease in its assessed value of $787 million, all the way down to $76 million. Furthermore, the owner of the Transamerica Pyramid, New York developer SHVO, which purchased the building in 2020, is seeking a 53% reduction in its assessed value from $485 million to $227 million. Furthermore, at Chase Center, property owners are attempting to cut the city's assessed $1.48 billion value for the stadium by some 58% to $635 million. This, according to the media outlet, the San Francisco Standard. I'll take this link, this article, and I'll put it in the comment section of my personal Facebook page. I just did it. John Blair, this is for you. I'll put it in the comment section of my personal LinkedIn, so you can check it out, John. I think you would very much enjoy that article, John Blair. I'll put it in the I Love Seville Facebook group I just did. Deep Throat, I'm going to send you this article via DM. I just did to you, Deep Throat. And I'm going to put it in the comments of the Twitter thread that's going on right now. And I'm going to add, how will this impact Seville? Question mark. So here's the question I have. And I think this is why you watch this program. Why you watch this program is we take macro or national stories, storylines and trends, and we localize them to Charlottesville. I'll cut to the chase. One of the things that I am good at in business is seeing where the market is going before the market gets there. It's called vision. And you take vision with an affinity for risk that's hedged, with some practical thinking. And there's Hall Spencer walking by, the progress reporter. You take an affinity for risk, hedge risk, with vision, with some common sense and some practicality, and you combine those all in one, and you get a pretty good little business situation going on here. So here's my prediction, Judah. As San Francisco, and remember, a lot of these trends and storylines usually migrate left to right. They originate in the West Coast, and then they start heading to the East Coast.
Yeah.
The heaviest of heavy hitters in San Francisco are challenging their assessments. Some 50 to 90% challenging in reduction. That means the jurisdiction's going to have less tax roll, less money that comes from these commercial buildings. Let's say that happens in Charlottesville, and let's say that happens in Albemarle County. And everyone that's watching this program knows we can make a legitimate argument that commercial real estate is not as valuable now as it was in 2019. Appraisers will say that, bankers will say that, lenders will say that, landlords will say that, and renters will say that. You know who does not want to say that? Who does not want to say that, Judah?
The people that are getting tax money.
Which is whom? Or what?
cities and counties and.
God, Judah's on fire right now. Everybody give Judah Wickhauer some props. Put Judah Wickhauer's name in the feed and give him some props and say J-Dubs, J-Dubs, J-Dubs. So my take for you is this. Tax assessments, tax rolls on commercial buildings are going to be challenged in Charlottesville City. I'll lead that charge. I will lead the charge. I will use this platform. Any commercial, there's Walker the architect, any commercial owner in Charlottesville City, I want you to get your assessment right now, and I want you to challenge it, and let's all do it together. And I'm going to use this influence of hundreds of thousands of people. We're going to galvanize, organize, and strategize, and we're all going to effing challenge our tax assessments together at the exact same time. There's people in City Hall in Albemarle County right now that are freaking the F out. Literally freaking the F out. I'll write this up like I wrote the Dairy Market, Dairy Central thing together. Let's challenge our assessments all at the exact same time.
To what purpose, though?
What do you mean, what purpose? They don't carry the same value they once did. Is this where you make the spin that you're only doing this to line your pockets, Jerry? Is that what you're saying?
No, I didn't say that.
No, it's not called lining your pockets. You know what it's called?
I didn't say anything.
But that's what you alluded to.
No,
that's what you alluded to.
I didn't.
That's what you alluded
to. I asked the question.
You said to what purpose? And look, he's doing that stroke over there, his hand in the cookie jar. You said to line your pockets. Is that not what you were intending?
No, that's not what I was intending.
Okay.
It was a serious question. It's an honest question. Are businesses, are business owners, landlords?
Yeah, this is not business owners. These are Well, in
right,
some cases it could be business owners, like our case. But we're talking landlords here.
Well, they are business owners if they're, renting.
Fair. Carly Wagner says, Judah, we love you. She says, Judah, exclamation point, and she says, we love you. Can you sing back to Carly?
No.
You can just say thank you, man.
Thank you. I don't want to sing on.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry.
Screen.
Keep going. I apologize for interrupting you. Johnny Ornelas, ¿qué pasa, chico?
Are they losing that much? I can understand in San Francisco. We've all heard the stories of people, jumping ship there. But
can I make a legitimate argument? This is what you're going to say. And I apologize for interrupting you. I apologize constantly that I continue to do it. I'm sorry. I will learn. There's 11 vacant storefronts on the downtown mall. There's 190 storefronts in totality in downtown Charlottesville, 190. The largest shopping district in Charlottesville City is the downtown area with 190 storefronts. Of those 190, 11 are vacant. That is a vacancy of, what was that, 6%? 190 times 0.06.
Okay, but counter argument.
It's the highest vacancy rate we've seen in my 23 years of being in Charlottesville. It's got a 6% vacancy rate. Normally that vacancy rate is between 0 and 1%.
Counter argument, that's fair, but of the properties that are still being rented out, are the property owners having to lower their rents?
Yes.
Everywhere?
Rents are being lowered in downtown Charlottesville. You want to know something crazy? And I can't say how I heard this because it was in the midst of a business brokerage negotiation. Me doing the business brokerage negotiation and the buyers on one side and the sellers on the other side. Barracks Road Shopping Center. Mm-hmm. Barracks Road Shopping Center, in some cases, is lowering its rents.
Wow.
This is a publicly traded company, Federal Realty.
Isn't that one of the signs of the apocalypse?
I don't believe in stuff like that. What do you mean? Was that a joke?
Yeah, it was a joke.
Okay, I apologize. You said it so dry, I wasn't sure if it was a joke.
We're talking about Barracks Road. Whoever heard of them lowering prices on anything?
Barracks Road Shopping Center, in some cases, I'm not going to tell you how I figured this out or how I know this, but I've seen the leases. In some cases, it's lowering its rents. In other cases, it's keeping its rents flat. The tenant has more room to negotiate with publicly traded Federal Realty now than ever before, certainly more than my 23 years of being in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. So here's my point.
It is a sign of the apocalypse.
Rents are dropping. Monthly rents, commercial.
Yeah.
Vacancy rates are upticking.
Yeah.
11 on the downtown mall. That's 6x what it generally is. 6x 11 out of 190 before COVID in 2019, it was 0 vacancies, literally. The vacancy rate downtown is usually between 0 and 1%, closer to 0 than 1. Now it's over 6%. Okay, we got a 6x vacancy rate. We see this phenomenon happening in San Francisco. I think we should lead the charge, and this was Judah Wickhauer's idea. This was not my idea. We should lead the charge on the I Love Seville show that we should tell every commercial owner to challenge their assessment with Albemarle County and Charlottesville City.
So this is my idea.
Because their value,
do it, folks.
Their values are not the same they were in 2019. Lenders are saying it, tenants are saying it, owners are saying it, appraisers are saying it, bankers are saying it. Eventually, government's going to catch on. As government catches on and it sees its tax rolls, its assessments dropping, it's going to have less money to operate, and its jurisdictional yearly budget will decrease. If its jurisdictional yearly budget will decrease, how the hell are they going to hire more bus drivers and give them more pay when it's not even working right now? Where is the additional surplus of tax revenue that is going to be lost from assessments dropping going to come from? They can only raise the meals tax so much, and every time they raise the meals tax a cent in Albemarle County or a cent in Charlottesville City, all hell breaks loose. And it's like Lord of the Flies.
And they probably end up getting less.
Yeah, because you're gentrifying who can eat out.
Yeah, which hurts the restaurants even more than it hurts the city.
Dude, you're on fire today. You're on fire today. We know retail tax. We know the tax revenue that comes from retail businesses is dropping. I would make a legitimate argument that the meals tax is potentially either flat or could be dropping. Are people still going out in inflationary times when American credit card debt's at an all-time high? When groceries are extremely costly? Gasoline is damn near $4 a gallon. Depending on where you go, $3.70, $3.80 a gallon. You like to go to Wawa because it's what?
20 cents cheaper.
This is what I would suggest for anyone that's in a gas pinch. Get a credit card that gives you 3% back on gas. Then you join the rewards program at whatever place you fuel up at. Make sure you only fuel up at that place so you get points every time you fuel.
I figure there must be a lot of people doing that because I can never understand
why Wawa's always crowded.
No, I can definitely understand why Wawa is crowded. What I can understand is driving by a place like Exxon or whatever, and it's 20, 30 cents higher than what I'm seeing at Wawa, and there are people filling up their 12-foot tall pickup trucks that probably you know what I mean, giant pickup trucks.
I totally get it.
Probably have they probably spend $200 on gas.
I think part of that's convenience. I think part of that is also what I'm talking about. I fill up across from the Boar's Head at Bel Air, the Sutton's Tiger Fuel.
Yeah.
I'm a Market Rewards member. I have a credit card that gives me 3% back that I pay off every single time. And then my wife and I each fill up our car there. Routinely, we're getting 25 and 50 cent discounts each week because we fill up both vehicles there because we're at that side of town all the time. And then we're getting the juice on the credit card with the 3%. We pay it off. We don't carry a balance.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion for viewers and listeners, just an idea. It will help you manage gas. Still, the point is groceries, not all-time high expensive, but damn near close to all-time high expensive. Credit card debt, all-time high in America. Powell raising rates, effing credit card debt. Gasoline, that's the first kind of tax we all face because we have to pump gas in our car to get places. Basically $4 a gallon, depending on where you're getting gas. I can make a legitimate argument that the taxes for a jurisdiction when it comes to retail will be down or flat at best. Meals tax, you can say flat or a marginal increase. There's still a zest for people to go out and spend money at bars and restaurants because there's still the COVID hangover. But it's not the spike that we would expect if it wasn't for an inflationary environment. The building owners, the landlords, if we all organize, strategize, galvanize at the same time to challenge our assessments, which I think we should, there's powers in number, just like a union, there's powers in number if we do it. The jurisdiction's going to lose out in tax revenue as well. Where's the additional revenue going to come from? It's not going to come from meals tax. It can't come from the lodging tax. They're already raking or bending over the people over the you-know-what from a meals and lodging tax now, where's the additional revenue going to come from? And if the additional revenue doesn't come from a tangible or palpable source that we can identify now, what's the jurisdiction to do? You know what the jurisdiction's going to do? What's the jurisdiction going to do? Say it loud and say it proud. What's the jurisdiction going to do, Judah? Come on, you got this. Right now, you're 10 for 10. If it can't get it from meals, and it can't get it from retail, and it can't get it from lodging, and it can't get it from commercial owners, where's it going to get it from, Judah? Come on, Judah.
You're talking about real estate?
What is it?
Real estate?
What kind of real estate?
Rooftops, personal, I don't know what
you're all over it. Residential. That's what you were saying.
Yeah.
It's going to residential increase the tax rate. Assessments are already going up. Remember, the assessed values of homes are based on market value.
Yeah.
One of the reasons us as commercial owners can challenge our assessed value with our respective jurisdiction is because it's tied to market value. And market value on our buildings are dropping. So we then can knock on the door of the local assessor, the local tax man, and say, you're taxing me too much, cut this, this is wrong. What is going up? Real estate values.
Yeah.
And assessed values are tied to market. The local jurisdictions can raise the tax rate though. It's like a double tax.
Yeah.
The tax rate and the assessed values. The tax rate is going to have to uptick, which means more gentrification from a housing standpoint in Charlottesville and Almar.
Yeah.
It's all connected. It's all connected. I explained to you in San Francisco, I'm going to go to viewers and listeners' comments in T-minus 30 seconds. So if you have a comment and you want me to read it on air, put it in the feed in the next 30 seconds. I just explained to you that in San Francisco, at Chase Center, a property, the owners of Chase Center are attempting to cut the city's assessed value from $1,480,000,000 to $635 billion. That's a cut of 58%. The owner of the Transamerica Pyramid, which is a developer from Manhattan, purchased a building in 2020, and they're seeking a 53% reduction in assessed value from $485 million to $227. The Westin St. Francis hotel owners, an iconic hotel, are looking for a 90% reduction from $787 million all the way down to $76 million.
That's insane.
If you were the extorting emperor of empty lots, Johnny Dewberry, a quarterback for the Georgia Tech Rambling Wreck at one time, a youngster who grew up in Waynesboro, would you not challenge your assessment on a building that you're not even effing using?
Yeah.
If you were Alan Kajin and you're an attorney that's super wealthy, super sophisticated, and super nuanced, that has employees working for him, wouldn't you challenge the assessment on Passiflora, on Ix Park, on his Rapture building holdings, on the parking lot on West Main Street, on the Tonic building and the apartments behind Tonic, on Shenanigans, on Public Fish and Oyster, and all his holdings in Midtown? Yes, yes you would. If you were Ludwig Kutner, wouldn't you do this? Yes, yes you would. If you were Oliver Kutner, wouldn't you do this? Yes, yes you would. Bill Nitchman, mentor of the program. Yes, yes you would. Joffrey Woodruff, friend of the program. Yes, yes you would. Joe Geek, friend of the program. Yes, yes you would. Yours truly. Yes, yes you would. The Charlie Lewis family, friend of the program. Yes, yes you would. And if everyone does it at the exact same time, what do you have? I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with duck. What are you? Don't say it. You got a cluster duck, quack, quack, quack on your hands. And how the jurisdiction's going to have to make up that lost revenue is, Judah, tell everyone, including Sally in the back.
I've got some ideas that probably aren't suitable for telling our viewers, but is this what you're talking about?
This is not a rhetorical question. This is a talk show. This is where you got to talk here.
I know you're talking about the rooftops, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And then and the gentrification continues. If people were angry about Chris
Henry.
Yeah, Chris Henry. And phase.
Oh, let's unpack this one. I can't wait to go down this road.
And phase 3, how much more is skyrocketing housing tax assessments going to affect those neighborhoods than putting something up in an old parking lot.
Your analysis on that particular part of the argument is incorrect. I'll explain why.
Okay, I mean, I'm just
Let me unpack
asking
that.
questions again.
Let me unpack that. Chris Henry's Phase 3 development, the 400 apartments that would yield housing for 1.5 people per apartment or 600 people in totality, the tax assessments or the tax rolls that come from Phase 3 undoubtedly are far higher than the tax assessments that come from asphalt parking lots and the Fifth Season Home Brew store, the Preston Sons laundromat, and the twice as nice thrift store. So
Right.
if he builds these 400
doubt.
apartments, that is net positive for the city from a tax standpoint.
I wasn't talking about the city. I was talking about the people that are angry about what he's doing. How much more would rising tax assessments affect those neighborhoods and the people living there when they have to pay more on taxes for the houses that they own? How much more would that affect them than what Chris Henry is doing?
Or devil's advocate, for the sake of a talk show, will the creation of 400 apartments that are at 2,000, 2,100, 2,200 per apartment, I mean, that's a nice little piece of revenue. 400 times 2,200, you're looking at 880 G's a month. 400 times 2,200 a month, 880 G's a month times 12 months. I mean, you can see maybe why Chris wants Phase 3 to become a reality. You're looking at $10,560,000 in rent revenue per year if they were fully rented. But I digress. If those 400 apartments were built, those 400 apartments will capture wealthy people, because it's $2,200 a month, that choose to live in that 10th and Page neighborhood because of its location, its proximity, and its amenities. Right. Those 600 people that live in those 400 apartments could have, or probably would have, cannibalized or purchased the housing stock in 10th and Page. And that is how a neighborhood truly gets gentrified. When you send 600 people into 10th and Page, which is what, 400 houses maybe? And those 600 people say, I want to live here. Let's buy up some of these homes that maybe need to be torn down or remodeled altogether, right? Instead, they give them a spot to live in Phase 3 Dairy Market. If they really want to keep the integrity and the character and the history of 10th and Page, you greenlight Dairy Market and you support it. If you kibosh Dairy Market and support it, the 600 people that would have paid $2,200 a month are just going to buy $300,000 houses instead. Because the mortgage payment for a $300,000 house, and a lot of the homes in 10th and Page are probably trading in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. The mortgage payment on a $300,000 or $400,000 house is probably in the same vicinity of the monthly rent of $2,200 a month. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the understanding of housing economics, which is something we cover inside and out on this program. Give me a flying chest bump. Come on.
Oh, okay, thanks. That was a little,
It was a chest bump. I'm fired up today.
Kind of.
Can you tell I'm fired up? Let's get to comments. There's a lot of comments coming. I just saw, there's an 11-second delay. I just saw the. All right, here comes comments. Johnny Ornalis is watching the program. I'm meeting with Johnny Ornalis on Tuesday. Deep Throat, I'm coming to you next. Deep Throat. Johnny Ornalis owns El Mariachi and Guadalajara. Guadalajara, JPA, El Mariachi, Zion's Crossroads. We're meeting Tuesday at Vivace to talk business. I love those meetings. He says we're up to 11% meals tax in totality right now in the city. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You spend $100 at Guadalajara, JPA, 11 of that is meals tax. And Johnny, let's just use any restaurant, not Guadalajara. You spend $100 at a restaurant. $100 at a restaurant. Johnny, help you know this better than I do. Of that 100, what percentage of that $100 amount goes to the city and other taxing entities? If you can give me an exact number, that would be amazing. And then on top of that, you're tipping, I tip 20%. I tip between 20 and 25%, even if service is mediocre.
Yeah.
If the service is horrendous, I'm probably still tipping close to 20%.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a family, so I'm not buying as much. But when I eat out, my base tip is like $3, even if I'm just spending 10.
Yeah. So you're a very generous tipper.
Yeah, I don't tip that much if I'm spending.
Well, yeah, if you're going
50
higher
bucks.
amounts.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. 20% is usually the lowest I'll go.
So $100 dinner is a $120 dinner with the $20 tip. And of that $100 dinner, 11, 12, 13 of that is just taxes.
Yeah.
So you're spending $120 for that experience. And of that $120 for that experience, 120 times 0.25, 25 to 30% of it isn't even food or drink. I want you to think about that. $100 experience, 25 to 30% of that $100 dining experience is not even something you put in your mouth or drink down your throat.
Well, sadly, I think that with DoorDash and Uber Eats, people are getting much more used to that kind of math.
What does that mean?
That means when you order something to get delivered, it used to be, you'd order from the company, and they would have a driver. They might impose some kind of a delivery fee on you, and then you tip. But I don't think it was as onerous as it is now. I mean, when you go into like a Uber Eats app and look at the final outcome when you order something, it'll be like $40 worth of food. Then you've got like the tax tacked on. You've got the delivery fee. You've got the X whatever else, what other fee. I mean, you could be looking at like $40 worth of food costing you $55, and that's before you tip. So I'm just saying that I think people may be getting used to a lot more of that kind of math in their dining, where they know that they're going to end up paying.
Jim Hingley, I stand corrected. Counselor Hingley watching the program. He says you were right. Fiscal year 2024 combined capital and operating budgets $554,790,036. Judah is right. Fiscal year 2024 Albemarle County. That is a boatload of effing money.
I mean, I am looking at the
Albemarle County website.
The FY24 adopted budget.
I apologize. $554,790,036.
Yeah.
Schools on that are $260 million roughly. Albemarle County costs $554 million a year to run.
Apparently.
I wonder how much of that $554 million comes from commercial real estate assessments. And what happens if the large majority of commercial real estate owners all at the same time petition their assessments and say, this is not accurate anymore. This is based on a 2019 pre-COVID sliding scale. Johnny Ornella says 1% local tax, 5.5% state, 4.5% city, 3% roughly, about 200 roughly ABC tax as well. Good Lord. Good Lord. And find me an opportunity for a family of four to go out for under $100 in a non-fast food setting. Have you taken your wife and your two children to Chick-fil-A? Seriously. I want you guys to take your partner and your two kids to Chick-fil-A. I'll bet you $50 you're spending over 80. Now, I want to win this bet, so I'm going to set the over-under. 17. You take your kids you take your wife and your two kids to Chick-fil-A for dinner. And I'm going to put the over-under at $65. I'll take the over all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. And that's Chick-fil-A. The only reason Chick-fil-A is not at the C note is because you don't have to tip. You're not tipping 20 B's on that. Vanessa Parkle says, Judah and Jerry, are you tipping on the pre-tax threshold, or are you tipping before tax?
Isn't pre-tax and before tax the same thing?
No. We just found out. My wife is chastising me.
Well, pre means before. I'm just
sorry,
getting
sweetheart.
Clarification. I
it's basically she's saying if it's $100 and it's 11% in taxes, that's 89. Are you tipping on the 89 or are you tipping on the 100? You're tipping on the 100.
Yeah.
I tip on the 100 as well.
And I don't.
A lot of people don't tip on the 100. They tip on the 89.
And I don't sit there and like get a napkin out and like calculate an exact amount. I'm more of just kind of okay, I spent $30. That's like a $6 tip. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna sweat 50 cents or $1.50 one way or the other.
Deep Throat's got some good comments coming in. He says, "Yikes, yikes" in all caps. First time I've ever heard Deep Throat use the word yikes. I like that, yikes. He says, "Yikes" to what could happen with the commercial assessment reduction petitions that we're talking about, and I'm gonna use the weight of this network to make that push. Just giving everyone a heads up. Okay. Then he says, I would draw a distinction from Seaville and San Francisco, however. San Francisco has actual hotels and office buildings that are foreclosed upon and or auctioned at fire sale prices. We have not seen that yet in Charlottesville, yet. He says, but it's certainly a risk. And he's right. There's commercial buildings in San Francisco where the landlords or owners of the building have gone to the lender and said, here are the keys to the building, where you're not going to get any more money back from us, but you can keep the structure. Peace out. I'm done. Mm-hmm. That literally is happening in San Francisco. He says, Deep Throat does, Dairy Central, the assessment is $35 million. The property will become DM3, which has the 2x the number of apartments of Dairy Central, which is assessed at $10 million. When that is built, probably $75 million assessment, plus apartments full of young professionals with no kids, and costs the city nothing. It's a big win for fiscally conservative minded people. That is a great comment.
I also like...
Did you hear what he just said?
Go
the
ahead.
people renting in phase 3 of Dairy Market are going to be young professionals that don't have children.
Mm-hmm.
And these young professionals that don't have children will not be taxing the infrastructure as the same clip as my wife and I who have children. If you have kids, you're taxing your respective jurisdiction more. Why? Because kids cost money.
Yeah.
Kids cost money. My wife is watching the program.
Schools and obviously buses.
There you go. My wife is watching the program and says, that's way too high, Jerry. It's more like $50 or $60. No way, sweetheart. No way, sweetheart. Have you seen the milkshakes with the cherry on top that are oldest drinks? And yes, our 8-month-old has no teeth, but he scarfs down chicken nuggets as if it was formula. He just puts them in his mouth and the saliva like erodes the chicken nugget and like biodegrades it somehow. It's almost as if like a snake swallowing a rodent. The juices in the snake's mouth breaks down the rodent in the snake's body. Our 8-month-old is doing the same thing. He puts things like puffs and like cucumbers and nuggets in his mouth, and he just rolls them around as if he was a grandpa without dentures, and goes like this, and his saliva just disintegrates the nugget.
Next week on Jerry's ASMR channel,
It's Friday.
I like what Carly Wagner has to say. Focus on cutting expenses rather than growing revenue. More accountability and transparency for dollars spent. Continuing to throw money at issues doesn't buy you out of them.
Jim, thank you for sharing that. Read some more comments here. I'll read Jim's. You read another one that's coming in, then I'll go to JB. John Blair. Jim Hinchley says this. Fiscal year 2024 adopted budget. Total public schools is 58%. I called it 60, so I was right there. Total county government spend for Albemarle County is 39%. 39% for fiscal year 2024. Jim Hinchley, you're making the program better today, sir. Mr. Hinchley, if you were here, I would give you a very respectful chest bump. Very respectful chest bump to you, Mr. Hinchley. You are an officer of the law, sir, so I would have to do it gently, gently. Although he is way bigger than us. He's a bigger man than us. When we did that side-by-side photo of us here on the picture, I went and looked at the photo afterwards because I have so much respect for Mr. Hinchley. He towers over me. I guess most of the people that come on the show are towering over me. but he in particular towered over me. Jim, you made the program better. Let's go John Blair, and then you're up next. Ricardo Duran from UVA Credit Union watching the program. He says, I love it, Jerry, and I love you too, Judah. Can we sing Ricardo Duran's name? Will you sing it for him?
No.
Well, come on.
Sing his name? I don't want to sing people's names.
Ricardo Duran. I'm not even a good singer. We're just having fun on a Friday. This is from John Blair. Judah, I would look at a spot like Howardsville. There are some very remote spots in southern Albemarle that attend Monticello. Those can be very long drives. So he's talking about Howardsville, which is in Albemarle County. That very well could be that 90-minute
one way
threshold. I don't know if it's 90-minute one way, but I bet you it's a 90-minute round trip. He also says, John Blair, one of my college jobs was driving a beer truck. You could not be more correct. There is no way in Hades that anyone would drive a school bus instead of a beer truck. You make more driving a beer truck, and you're able to listen to a podcast of your choice. Hopefully it's the I Love Seville show, the Jerry and Jerry show, Real Talk with Keith Smith, Today y Mañana, or the new mom show that we're about to launch. Dr. Karen Wolf, I would love if you hosted a podcast on this network. Hint, hint. Karen Wolf, little nudge, nudge. I think you would crush it at that, Karen Wolf. Little persuasive suggestion, Karen Wolf. He says your only interaction with people is with grocery store personnel and unloading the truck at their store.
Plus free beer, right?
I don't think you get free beer.
I'm joking.
You might get the dented beer from the supplier. You know, they don't sell the dented cans. The dented cans are sold at a reduced price and are given to employees.
Nice.
Let's see, comments coming in here. Johnny Ornalis makes a really good point. The business owner it's called a triple net lease. I'm negotiating a triple net lease right now. In a triple net lease setting, the tenant pays the taxes, the upkeep, and the insurance. Oh, dude, I'll take it a step further. This is a damn good question. I'm hesitant to say this. I don't know if I want to say this. All right, I'm going to say it anyway. In a negotiated triple net lease, if the landlord successfully petitions a reduction in his or her tax assessment, will that tax assessment reduction be passed on to the tenant?
Yeah. That was a question in my mind. What happens when you petition for a reduction and get it, and then charge more for the property? Is there some regulatory agency that said, hey, wait a minute, we just gave you a...
Charging rents are tied to market value. So the market's going to determine what the property rents for. But the question is, if you entered in a leasing arrangement in 2018 or 2019 before COVID, when commercial values were at an all-time high, and now commercial values, if they're 15, 20, 25, 30% less, whatever it may be. I mean, hell, look at what the CFA building just sold for. It was a ridiculously haircut, right? If the commercial buildings are now 25, 30% lower in value, does the tenant who signed the 10-year lease in 2018 or 2019 know that the values have dropped?
Yeah.
So tax payments are lower. Or is the lease set up as a savvy landlord?
So that they're paying the landlord and the landlord is paying the taxes.
There you go. And I'm very hesitant to say that. Then why I'm hesitant to say that is because in my unique position, I am representing tenants with business brokerage, business placement, and brand management. But I also own a building or a large chunk of it, and many of my friends are the influential commercial landlords that I see in quarterly meetings where we chitter-chatter about commercial real estate. I would bet the sophisticated landlords out there are paying, I don't know, I don't want to go, I'm not going to go too deep down that road. That's a great question. Johnny Ornelas. Carly Wagner says, focus on cutting expenses rather than growing revenue. I think this is what you read.
Yeah.
More accountability and transparency for dollars spent. Continue to throw money at issues doesn't buy you out of them. She also said, like Johnny Ornelas said, if the lease is simply pass the taxes onto the tenant, no need to challenge taxes unless that's just gravy train for the landlord, because the landlord is taking the check from the tenant into an account for that building and then paying the taxes that could be at a lower price point that the tenant may not know. A good example of this, here's a very good example of this. You know what a lot of people do not realize? If you buy a house, walk with me through here, Judah, and I got a 2 o'clock meeting, so I got to get out of this chair in approximately 3.5 minutes. Obviously, I'm going to have to keep the HUD thing till to Monday. And Deep Throat, your comments on HUD, I'm going to save till Monday. They're damn good. This cause and effect of commercial assessment tax cuts is a good one. If you don't put 20% down payment and you're buying a house, what additional costs will you have from a monthly standpoint if you don't put 20% down, Judah, when you're buying a house?
What additional costs?
If you buy a house and you don't put 20% down, it's a $400,000 house, you don't put in a 20% down payment, which is 80 G's, 80,000 smackaroos, what additional monthly cost do you have until you get 20% equity?
Some kind of insurance?
Yeah, dude, Judah's on fire today. I'll say you aced that. I'll give you an A+ on that. PMI.
Yeah.
Private mortgage insurance.
Right.
You know a large portion, and I don't give you the exact statistic, a large portion of the buying public, because homes are so expensive now, are not putting 20% down.
Yeah.
And a large portion of those buyers who are paying monthly PMI, private mortgage insurance, continue to make many PMI payments every month because they don't have the nuance, the wherewithal, the sophistication, or we're not educated in the buying process that once you hit 20% equity,
you can call
your lender and have the PMI return
But they
removed.
won't cut it off without you
They
calling.
won't cut it off for you. The lender will not cut it off for you. You have to be notified by the owner that it's time to cut the PMI off.
Yeah. That's insane.
How many people are making PMI payments
They don't have
when
to.
they don't have to do? How many commercial tenants?
How is that not fraud? How is that not?
It's in the paperwork that they sign. In the paperwork, it's not fraud if the lender identifies at closing that you have to notify us that you've hit 20% and then we will remove PMI, and then they sign it. They agree to it.
Yeah.
In the
I mean,
commercial,
I guess
in the triple net commercial leases, are sophisticated landlords saying, this is the tax structure, you just pay me the check for taxes, and then I will pay the jurisdiction, and then in the meantime going to petition the jurisdiction for a tax reduction on assessment? And it's the same concept. If that commercial landlord is sophisticated enough to include the language and the tenant signs it, this is going to come up at our quarterly landlord meeting, and I'm going to catch some shit from my fellow contemporaries about this. But it's a good topic for the talk show. I bet you that's happening. I bet you that's happening.
Profits over people.
I'm not a huge fan of that statement.
I find it to be true in so many different situations.
Judy McMullen watching the program. She says, I lived in Covesville in high school. Covesville? You know where Covesville is. John Grisham's got a ball, one of the prettiest Little League stadiums I've ever seen in Covesville. It's on the Albemarle County, Nelson County border. She said, I lived in Covesville in high school, and I went to Western, 45-minute each way by car, hour and a half each way by bus. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Judy, you need to open up another pool hall. The timing is right for another pool hall. Your pool hall was awesome. All right, I got to get out of here in 30 seconds. Vanessa Parkhill says, Google Maps say Howardsville. Vanessa Parkhill is responding on one of our 15 Facebook pages to John Blair on LinkedIn. And she says, Google Maps says Howardsville to Monticello High School is 35 to 40 minutes one way.
Wow.
That's a long ride.
And there's no school closer? I mean, I don't know anything about the schools around here, so I'm just curious.
Deep Throat says there have been huge class action suits about that PMI issue you just pointed out.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. They're basically saying you're going to keep paying us money,
but it's not
that
fraud.
You don't. You're paying money that you don't owe someone.
But it's not
and
fraud.
they don't have to stop. They don't have to tell you.
They
I
literally
get
are
it,
writing
I get
it in the
I get it,
contract,
you signed it.
and they're signing it.
But
It's their own. It's Darwinism. This is Darwinism.
I mean, that's
You know how many people don't read the HOA document? I bought in the Macklin building. I read the HOA documents. I realized if I eclipsed 20% ownership, there was some control there. If you don't read the documents and you sign them, fool me once, what's the saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah,
It's Darwinism.
That's not Darwinism.
What do you mean?
You're asking?
He says Bank of America was charged with racketeering over this.
Yes, because it's not Darwinism.
How is it not Darwinism?
You're expecting every single person out there who's ever bought a home to have the knowledge, the wherewithal, and the understanding to go through one of those documents and pick out anything that seems shady.
That's not what I'm
There's
saying.
no way.
I'm saying if you buy a home and you sign a contract, it doesn't even. I gotta go. I literally have to go here. I'm gonna now be late.
And I
here.
think most courts, if you brought that to them, would say, okay, you can't just put anything you want in a document for someone to sign and then say, oh, well, they didn't see the part where I get to keep their kids. So now I get their kids.
Homie. I get the meme accounts like to make fun of me for using the phrase homie. Homie.
What?
The meme accounts like to make fun of me for using the word homie. Friend, amigo, chum, pal, compadre, colleague, brother, team member. Anytime you John Hancock your name on a document, read the effing document from start to finish three or four times.
I'm not disagreeing
You made a
with
comment within the last year that said, I would bet the large majority of people that sign your leases, Jerry, don't even read your leases. Do you remember when you made that comment?
Not really.
I was flabbergasted when I heard that from you. There is not a single instrument, vehicle, financing mechanism, contract, whatever the hell you want to call it, that I would not read from start to finish multiple times if I signed it.
Yeah, but ascribing...
And I would probably get my legal counsel. In fact, I would get my legal counsel if it was over, say, $5,000. I'd spend $395 for 1 hour of my legal counsel's time to read the document as well.
And expecting even a significant portion of the population to also do that is insanity.
That's Darwinism then. That's survival of the fittest.
No.
Whether you want to hear this or not, and people are going to get pissed off with this comment. That's why there's a class system.
It's foolish, I agree. But as we're seeing with courts throwing out NDAs and things like that, I think that it's clear that just because you put something in a document and have someone sign it doesn't mean it's ironclad.
Doesn't mean what?
It's ironclad. Now, there are certain things that you can argue.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yes, you went into this knowing what you were signing, but there are others. You can't just put anything you want in a document and expect it to be legal. I'm sorry. I get what you're saying, and people should definitely read the documents that they're signing. I'm not disagreeing with you on any of that. But the fact of the matter is that I think a lot of courts are seeing some of this BS.
Do you understand what would happen? Do you understand what would happen?
You can't just tell someone to sign something and then...
Do you understand what would happen if a tenant, and I keep using Alan Kajin here because he owns so much commercial real estate. Do you understand what would happen if a tenant went toe-to-toe with Alan Kajin on one of his properties in court or in a legal setting, when Alan Kajin is the word litigious?
Yeah.
When
litigious.
Alan Kajin is a lawyer who's litigious, he may not, let's give you the benefit of the doubt and say he may not win, but he's going to bleed them dry in court. Yeah. He will bleed them dry. And at that point, the tenant's probably just going to say, F it, I'm done with this, you win.
But now we're outside of the bounds
now we're
outside of the bounds
now
we're just...
That's how the game is played.
That's
That's how the game is played.
okay. Petty.
I didn't say it was a fair game, and I didn't say it was. The game may be played in the gray area in some cases,
Right.
but that's how the game is played. I have to go. I'm going to be late here. I'm going to be late. I apologize. I want to highlight this before I go. You were phenomenal today. Phenomenal today. Be like this every day. Phenomenal today.
When we have a conversation, things go well. When you talk for 30 minutes and then say, Judah, do you have anything to say about any of that? Like, what? Are you kidding me?
All right. I'm going to try to be more conversational. I will try to get you sing on air. I thought you were as good as I've ever seen you on the talk show. The talk show was true. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
You had fun?
Yeah.
Choose something positive. Something positive already here from work. I like that. All right, I got to go. I'm going to be late. Judah Wickhauer, Jerry Miller, the I Love Seville show on a Friday. We're back in the saddle on Monday. We're working on Thomas Jones, a running back from the National Football League and one of the UVA football team's greatest athletes, for the Jerry and Jerry show on Tuesday. More details to come. So long, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I got to go. I'll be back.